I think BP Sara was being accused of wanting to murder the president by making signal niya gano'n. But that, Rico, you can imagine the worst of crimes. But if there's no overt act pursuing to that, it's not a crime. So how can it be an impeachable offense?
What do you make, Attorney Sal, of these suspicious transactions of the Vice President and her husband as flagged by the Anti-Money Laundering Council? Is it also politically motivated?
That's ridiculous. Under the law, whether it's AMLA and the bank secrecy law, you cannot reveal bank accounts. And when they did, I don't know if you realize when they were saying that, how much? 6 billion, and then they're referring only to transactional figures. You deposit 10 million, and under the law, the AMLA will have to record that. If you put that in the time deposit, it will appear as one, and then again, AMLA will record that. So 20 million na. If that matures, ililipat mo uli sa account to another. In other words, for every 10 million na account mo, magiging 40 million in 6 months if that is the number of days na tinime deposit.
But Attorney Sal, there has been really a big difference in the amounts that have been passing through the accounts of the Vice President and the husband over the past number of years.
Exactly. 20 years nga sinasabi nila, di ba? Can you imagine kung 20 years? If you have 40 million in 6 months, tapos niro-roll mo yun, aabot talaga ng bilyon. Kasi they're just summing it. Tinototal lang nila ang lahat ng transactional. Di ba?
But the big question is, where did they get all of this cash in between those 20
Even
years?
assuming nga na, mali nga yung yung figure. Tingnan mo. Hindi ba, they admitted na there was a glitch. According to them, nagkamali yung nilagay na 2 billion. Yung pala 2 million lang. Doon lang may problema na sila.
They have to get their facts straight.
Exactly.
And do you think that all of these records, this data, whether it be true or false, could impact the popularity of the Vice President as she has ambitions to be the next President of the Republic?
If you look at the surveys, the effect is one of increasing her popularity. The ratings are good for her.
But the latest surveys also show that two of the potential presidentiables in 2028, Rafi Tulfo and Leni Robredo, who have also said that they will not be running for the top position in 2028, are getting ever so closer to the popularity of the Vice President.
Which one are you referring a survey? Kasi I only believe in 3 surveys. The Pulse.
The Pulse survey.
Rico, I don't know if you go out of your house in a day. Ako palagi lumalabas. Whether you're in a mall, in a wake, in a grocery, in the market, mag-grab ka, aeroplano, galit ang tao. They're angry. Very, very angry. Kaya makikita niya sa butuan sa 2020.
What are they angry at? Sal Panero, when you go out
first, the administration has not responded to the problems of the land. Lahat. Every aspect, poverty, employment, lahat may problema Hindi nila natutugunan yan. And then, this Kisara saka kay Presidente Duterte, kaya nagagalit sila. They love this Dutertes Particularly Sara and the former president. Maraming ginawa Alam mo naman ng Pilipino, pag inapi mo ang isang tao at nakita naman nilang maraming ginawa para sa'yo, talagang magagalit siya ng tao. And we saw that in the previous election. Lahat na kumontra kay Duterte at tumahimik ng mga dati niyang kakampi, talo lahat sa eleksyon.
So, Attorney Sal, if Sara Duterte, Vice President Sara Duterte becomes president in 2028, what can she offer the Filipino people?
Well, according to her, she will continue with the legacy of the father. That alone should tell us na okay siya kung yung programa ng father niya tutuloy niya.
Which is basically fight against continued drug war.
That's only one of the legacies of the former president. Yung bill niya. Yung,
The infrastructure.
yeah, infrastructure niya.
Because we saw in the first 3 years of the Duterte administration, the economy expanded by more than 6.5% to 7%.
Yes.
That was really one of the highest growth numbers in many administrations.
Saka yung foreign policy niya, di ba? We did not toe the line sa US.
But isn't that the fear
Lumabas siya.
of many Filipinos?
That-
The foreign policy tilted towards China rather than the West.
What's wrong with that? You know, this arbitral ruling can never be erased, obliterated. It's there forever. Wala ka nang magagawa doon. That is why the former president said, we do not have the capacity to enforce it. Even our allies do not want it. I might as well go to other aspects. Kaya nandyan yung trade, nandyan yung sharing of intelligence, yung cultural exchanges, lahat na bagay. And di ba, China is one of the biggest, nagbebenta tayo sa kanila. Sila rin, kailangan din natin.
But also, during the administration of former President Duterte, we also saw the entry of thousands
Oh,
of pogos in the country.
you must remember that the former president regulated that. Niregulate niya yan eh. Ngayon, nagsisisi na sila. Walang revenue sa post, billions yata ang natatanggap natin. Regulation ang importante doon.
And what about in terms of turning around the economy, creating jobs for the Filipino people?
You know, investors will not come in unless your peace and order is good. Unless yung corruption mo is check. The problem is, di ba, alam mo ba, Rico, yung complaint sa akin ng mga Chinese noon? Kasi, nasaan yung mga sinasabi yung investments nyo? You know what the ambassador told me? Mr. Secretary, the problem is your bureaucracy. Masyado kayong mahigpit.
The red tape.
Tapos corruption pa. Kaya, they shy away from us.
How bad is the corruption in this Marcos Jr. administration?
Look at the flood control projects. Di ba? Billions. Grabe nga eh. Kaya galit ang tao. Tapos, they're not even prosecuting them.
Why do you think so?
Because they're part of it. Kasama sila eh. Di ba? In fact,
If Inday Sara becomes president, will she put these corrupt government officials behind bars? Because President Marcos Jr. says we have to go through due process.
tama naman yun. She will prosecute them. If you want them to go behind bars, immediately, you declare a revolutionary government first. Pero kung
So she will go through due process.
yes.
Because a lot of opinion makers are saying that if she becomes president, she will exact revenge on the Marcos administration. Is she that kind of person?
No, I do not think so. Hindi siya ganun. But, kaya siya nagagalit, pag sinobra mo, well, every person naman, pag nasobra mo, talagang magagalit
But
sa'yo.
why those threats? Why those threats that is being used right now as evidence in her impeachment case?
Let's go to the threat. How did Inday Sara utter those remarks? That was in response to a question by a blogger. Ang tanong sa kanya, Ma'am, there is a threat against you. Mukhang talagang papatayin ka nitong mga kalaban mo sa politika. Yun ang response niya. Huwag ka mag-alala. Pag ginawa nila sa akin, may kinausap na ako, papatay ko sila. It's funny. Pero they're using that.
They were supposed to be a strong unit team from 2022 to 2028 to put the Filipino people in a better position. Turn around the economy, create more jobs, Attorney Sal. What was the turning point? What was the breaking point?
The last
Why the unit team
broke.
broke?
Eh, paano? The lust for power. They saw Inday Sara as an obstacle to remain in power. Kaya kailangan sirain nila si Inday. Lahat ng mga connected sa mga Duterte sinisira niya.
As we speak, is there no chance for reconciliation between the Marcoses and the Dutertes?
Balik na si Presidente Duterte. Matagal ko na sinabi yun sa kanila, wow, ba't hindi ibalik? Well, illegal naman talaga yun, no, Rico. In all angles talagang illegal. Under the Constitution, even under the Rome Statute, talagang illegal yung ginawa nila. Ang problema, talagang gusto lang nilang mawala.
Let's talk about the former president who's currently in The Hague. Are you in talks with Attorney Nicholas Kaufman for Duterte's upcoming trial? And are you going to be participating in it?
No, when we went there, we were there to observe the proceedings. And it's very funny that, I don't know if you heard about it, I think just a few days ago, the prosecution team filed a motion asking the pretrial chamber to provide the information to the public that Salvador Panelo is not part of the defense team. Ibig sabihin, they're being affected by my commentaries. Can you imagine that? Kaya natatawa na lang ako sa kanila. Eh, alam naman nilang from the very beginning, sinabi na, we're here to observe.
Yes.
But, siyempre, we have to speak out kung anong tingin namin. Ay, nagre-react sila.
Attorney Sal, you said that there could be reconciliation between the Marcos and Dutertes if President Marcos brings back the former president to the Philippines. Is it possible for the government to just say, let's just drop all the charges and the former president can just return home?
Number one, we have a pending petition for a writ of habeas corpus sa Supreme Court. And we are asking the Supreme Court to declare illegal the acts committed by the officials of this administration.